well was that the Titans and Steelers game might not be for the faint of heart. Well, it actually turned out to be a pretty good and entertaining game. Tonight's game? Bears and the Panthers from Soldier Field in Chicago, a matchup of teams with a combined record of 3-14, and only one of those teams will actually pick in the first round this year, at least as of right now. That's the Bears. They have not only their own pick, but they have Carolina's first rounder as well. Chicago, for the second time this season, is a favorite. Part one didn't go well. They got punked in the season opener at Lambeau. Tyson Bagent gets the start at quarterback for the Bears. ESPN Bet has Chicago favored by 3 with a total of 38.5. Advice that I use in a game like this: when you have two teams that stink, take the stinkier of the two. ESPN sports betting analyst Darin will join ESPN Radio as soon as I stop talking. The 21-day window for Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson to return from injured reserve opened yesterday. Today, Jefferson said he would not return to game action until his hamstring is 100% healed. The Vikings will host the New Orleans Saints coming up Sunday afternoon.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Welcome into After Further Review, Thursday edition. Matt Musso sitting in for Matt Moscona today. Scone will be back in the chair tomorrow for Football Friday. But until then, you got 3 hours of me, and we have a jam-packed show. Alondra's here, Paul is here, and we're ready, set to go. Edgar Thompson will go to Gainesville, talk to him next segment, get a preview of the Florida Gators. Got, of course, Fantasy Blitz, Thursday Night Football tonight to start week number 10 in the NFL. So before you set your fantasy football lineups, be here for the 345 segment. Get personalized fantasy football advice from our guy, Darin Tietgen of whotostart.net. Saints injury report, always to go through. Brian Kelly will speak to the media later. We'll get our final update on Jaden Daniels. Of course, cleared for practice yesterday. Was expected to be cleared for contact today. Of course, Kelly, like I said, when he meets with the media, he will update Jaden Daniels in his final availability here for the week. And Mike Triplett, Saints-Vikings in the Dome. Excuse me, not in the Dome, up in Minneapolis. Well, I guess technically in the Dome, just not the Superdome. Up in Minneapolis on Sunday at noon. We'll talk to Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football in his regular spot at 5:15. Get your preview of that game. And that's where I want to start today, since we're going to do LSU in the next segment. Start with the New Orleans Saints. I was hoping to start with the injury report, but the full thing's not out. For what it's worth, all the Saints beat reporters have noted that only 2 absences from practice today, Isaiah Foskey and Kendre Miller. We'll get you a full injury report a little bit later on. And, of course, there's some things to note on the Vikings side as well. So not having that right off the top here, I want to start more by looking at Josh Dobbs, who, of course, by now, most of you, if not all of you, know he will start Sunday for the Minnesota Vikings against the New Orleans Saints. We've talked plenty here on this show, obviously, about the Saints quarterbacks that they're going to face and how it's just, it's not a who's who, right? And you can add Josh Dobbs to that list. Respect to everything that he did against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. It was incredible. It was improbable. It was a fantastic showing for him. Earned him NFC Offensive Player of the Week. But when you look at Josh Dobbs as a whole in his career, it's not that. So it's interesting because the strength of the Saints team is what? It's the defense. Has been for a while, is again this year, will be for the foreseeable future. That's their edge. That's their advantage. Albeit the slow starts they've gotten off to, that's their edge. That's their advantage. So how do they posted earlier today, they cited at NFL 345, the New Orleans Saints defense leads the NFL right now with 62 passes defensed. They are the first team to have 69 weeks of the season since the Kansas City Chiefs. 10 years ago. They are awesome in the secondary. Marshawn Lattimore, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL when he's healthy. Paulson Adebo, NFC Defensive Player of the Week, wreaked havoc single-handedly on Tyson Bagent and the Chicago Bears last week. 3 turnovers of his own in that ball game to do along with 7 tackles. He has really emerged opposite Lattimore as that corner. Great rookie season, injured last year, now really taking that next step. You throw in Alontae Taylor, Marcus May, Tyrann Mathieu. They're very good. So obviously you would think just off the top, that's going to be an advantage for the New Orleans Saints going up against Josh Dobbs. When you dig a little deeper and look at his this season, completion percentage, I mean, you look at last week, 68%. He's got an 81% in there this year. As a whole on the season, he's looking at 63%. This is where it gets interesting for me, the yards per attempt. Because I look at the completion percentage, I see he's had some high marks there. When you go back and you look at Josh Dobbs' last 5 games, yards per attempt, his last 5 starts, yards per attempt, 5.2, 5.7, 4.4, 5.6, 5.3. High completion percentage, short yards per attempt. Manageable throws. Get the ball out, get it in playmakers' hands. Add in the fact that they are going to be without Justin Jefferson this week. KJ Osborne is in concussion protocol. He did not practice again today. That leaves you with Jordan Addison and a banged-up TJ Hawkinson who's going to try and go. The Saints have a major advantage against Josh Dobbs with him trying to throw the football this weekend. That does not even factor in that he's still learning that offense, where he knew a handful of plays last Sunday. He's had a full week under his belt here, but he's not nearly to the level even that a Jaron Hall would have been who had been there. The one area, though, that causes me great concern with Josh Dobbs going up against the New Orleans Saints defense this week is his legs. Because, and it hasn't even really been mobile quarterbacks that have hurt the Saints. But they have struggled with a quarterback scramble, with quarterback design. Look, just go back to last week. Look at Tyson Bagent. We're going to take it a little deeper than that. But it has been a big issue for them. And Dennis Allen addressed it after the game, and he punctuated the quote by saying, right now that stinks. And he's right, it does. But you can go all the way back to week 3 against Green Bay. They struggled corralling Jordan Love. Jordan Love was the leading rusher for the Packers that weekend. And he scored a touchdown in that game. Pretty clutch one. We need to go to the Jaguars game where Trevor Lawrence, who, by the way, had a sprained knee and probably the most comfortable knee sprain that anybody has ever had in the history of knee sprains, got you for 59 yards on 8 carries on a bum knee. A lot of that was in the first half. You corralled him a little bit in the second half. You made your adjustments, and you made the comeback, and we know how that goes. Last week, Tyson Bagent, 70 yards on the ground. That has to get better because when you look at Josh Dobbs, again, we told you 9 games so far this year he started. In 6 of them, he has gone over 40 yards rushing. 66 yards rushing last week. That is a major point of concern for me going up against the Saints defense because you look at them, they play a lot of man coverage. Your back's going to be to the line of scrimmage. And the pass rush hasn't been lethal this year from the Saints. Curtis Granderson's been very good. Cam Jordan's had his moments. But outside of that, you look at a Saints team that has 17 sacks on the year and ranks in the bottom third of the NFL. I mentioned Dennis Allen when he talked about these scrambles from quarterbacks being a problem for them after this Bears game in the post game. He talked about the proper way to rush the passer, and that's where they're struggling. Whether it be not staying in your rush lanes, not leveraging the football, wherever you want to go with it, they're not doing exactly what their responsibility is. They're not doing their job. To steal a phrase from Brian Kelly, LSU, they're 111. That has to improve. Now, especially this week against a guy like Dobbs. Now, the other interesting thing here, so we've gone through passing. I think the Saints have the advantage. His legs, I think that's an advantage for Josh Dobbs. There's one more thing. Josh Dobbs turned the football over. A lot. 5 interceptions on the year. And let's count them up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fumbles. 11 fumbles. 16 turnovers just by him. The New Orleans Saints lead the NFL in with 18 turnovers. Them and the Jaguars. They've been phenomenal at that all year. And forced 5 last week against the Chicago Bears. That could be the great equalizer here. If Josh Dobbs does take off and run, does he have the ball security? Does he possess the ball security to protect himself and possession when doing so? If the Saints improve that pass rush, they can come off the edge, get home. Can they knock the ball loose there? Can Paulson Adebo, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus May, can they be the ball hawks in the secondary that we've seen them be throughout their career and at some points this season? Overall, I like the Saints' defense against Josh Dobbs this weekend, even on the road, on account of the turnovers. I think you have the advantage against him passing, and he's missing weapons. But those legs, if the Saints struggle the way they have with pass rush lanes, leveraging the football, playing the amount of man coverage that they do, he could have a big day scrambling, and that could end up being the great equalizer despite the advantage they have in forcing turnovers, despite the advantage they have defending his arm. We'll see. It is going to be a good one. Two teams that are the Vikings definitely on the upswing. The Saints seem to be turning a corner here. At least they're taking advantage of this portion of the schedule. Plenty to talk about with Mike Triplett here again in about 2 hours from now. Want to get his thoughts on Josh Dobbs' legs. Where's that level of concern for him there? Is the offense turning a corner? Because you got 2 5-4 teams. And again, the Vikings, after starting 0-3, even without Kirk Cousins, even without Cam Akers now as well in the backfield, and without Justin Jefferson, they're 4-0 without Justin Jefferson, by the way. I mean, they've really taken that swing, and after an 0-3 start, they are in position to make a run here over the second half of the season for the playoffs. So a lot at stake in the Dome, and you would think the Saints, not in the Dome, well, again, the Dome in Minneapolis, you would think the Saints have an advantage there defensively that can help them win this football game. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Musso in for Moscona here. On the other side, we're going to head over to Gainesville, talk to Edgar Thompson, get a closer look at the Florida Gators. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. You want to look and feel like your younger self, they can help at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. You know, I would often say a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. But so often that blood test is so much more than just that. For example, maybe they'll find elevated cholesterol levels or something else that could be an indicator of a bigger problem. Not to say that that happens often, but it does. Like, you want to find those things so you can be properly treated. And sometimes medical grade supplements are a great way to do that. For me, fish oils, Coratin, some other medical grade supplements are great for me, as I had some naturally elevated cholesterol levels that we've helped get in check. Maybe it's hormone replacement therapy, help you feel like your younger self again. Learn more online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Back here on a Thursday edition of AFR, Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona. Going back tomorrow for Football Friday. But on Thursdays here on AFR, we always take a closer look at the opponent for LSU. So we're going to head over to Gainesville, take a look at the Gators, talk to Edgar Thompson of the Orlando Sentinel. Joining us from an airport. Edgar, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Did you hear me just yapping? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, I was trying to tip the dude who checks me in because Southwest Airlines, so I forgot to get on the app. I got C-32, man. I'm going to be sitting in someone's lap on the way to New Orleans.
You got to always check in, the pre-check-in.
I forgot.
That's Southwest. The whole seating chart, and they line you up and everything before it's an interesting experience on Southwest. That's the last time I flew. I was on Southwest.
I like Southwest, but not that aspect of it.
Well, Edgar's on his way to Baton Rouge here, just as are the Florida Gators. They'll leave out tomorrow, and it'll be another rendition of Tigers and Gators. Of course, for the last time for potentially the foreseeable future there with the cross-divisional game and divisions going away in the new scheduling. Edgar, before we get into the game, though, I do want to talk a little bit Billy Napier here because year two and coming off the loss to Arkansas and the way that all went down at the end of regulation and then in overtime, obviously you look forward to the future. Great recruiting class on deck, but what are the vibes, the feeling kind of surrounding Billy Napier here in year two in Gainesville?
There's a lot of consternation right now. He's 11-11, and there's just too many times that the football itself, it's like, okay, you're 11-11, you're 5-4, but it's kind of how you got here that people are upset about. It's not, they don't want 11-11, they don't want 5-4, but if they were losing games and not making all the mistakes, not giving away games effectively in a case or two, like the Arkansas game, all that mismanagement at the end of the game and the timeouts and all the things that they did wrong to put them in that jam at the end, I think people would be a little more forgiving and a little more positive. But when you see that repeatedly, time and again, not to be redundant, they've been seeing it since Utah. They've had 5 games, guys, where they have not had the right number of people on the field at one point. 5 out of 9 games. So they got to clean up that kind of stuff. And then I think people might start buying with the program a little bit more. As it stands, there's a lot of people that are really starting to check out on the Billy Napier era, which is not going to end this season or probably even at the end of next season, regardless of how it happens. But people don't want to have to grin and bear it and suffer through all this for maybe a payoff, 3 years from now or whatever.
So looking more at the teams, that was going to be my next question was, if there was a chance that he wouldn't be back. So moving on from that, looking at the team, I look at Graham Mertz, and I think that was one of the more intriguing quarterback additions into the conference this year. Obviously coming from Wisconsin, how would he fit in that Billy Napier offense? Graham Mertz, you just look at his numbers, he's having a career year, Edgar. So maybe why with him performing the way he has career year-wise has the offensive success maybe not followed as consistently?
I think the offense is starting to play a little better. I was looking at it a little bit today. They're averaging 33-7 in the last 4 games, 28-7 overall, which is not going to get it done. And you're throwing a 49-point effort against McNeese into that mix. So there have been some lackluster showings offensively, but it's getting a little better. But one of the things they're not doing, guys, is attacking downfield enough. They have, I believe, 4 completions of like 30 yards or more. Maybe it's 6. I don't have it right in front of me. It's not a lot. It's the fewest in the SEC. No, it's 10 30 or longer, and I think 4 40 or longer. LSU has 14 40 or longer and 26 30 or longer. So that tells you a lot right there. Now they have Neighbors, they have Thomas, they have Jaden Daniels. Mertz doesn't have Daniels' talent, and he certainly doesn't have Neighbors and Thomas probably. But he does have some pieces that are developing. Eugene Wilson is one, Trey Wilson, really a nice little piece coming along. Ricky Pearsall's a good player. Arlis Fordingham, the tight end's emerging. So they're starting to get a little offensive traction. But Graham's not going to just attack a team downfield. He's more, I would say, game manager, but he's going to more play within the scheme, which is still fairly conservative. Partly, I'll end on this, because the offensive line is the number one issue with this team is the O-line, because they're not able to create the balance and the run game that Billy Napier really wants to kind of hang us out on.
Edgar, when I look at LSU's defense, I mean, obviously we've seen a unit that has struggled virtually all year long. How do you think that Florida, given everything that you just said, matches up against one of the bottom units in the league in LSU's defense? Is this a spot where Florida can flex its muscle a little bit on offense?
Potentially. I know the star defensive tackle, whose name I wouldn't try to butcher, is out with a leg injury, and that is going to help him maybe generate a little more push than usual or protect a little better. I mean, Harold Perkins has been disappointing, I know, but against a line like this, the kid might have a field day. So they just are struggling to protect. And that's going to be where it starts. They're going to have to keep Mertz clean. Going to have to get some run game going to kind of, keep them guessing a little bit. I don't know what to expect. I haven't really dug in on LSU, like in terms of watching them a whole lot. You're always covering games on Saturdays, catching snippets of others. But you tell me, I mean, they're giving up 6.2, 4 yards of play, which is 13th in the league. Florida, though, is giving up 6, which is 12th in the league. So this is shaping up to be an old-fashioned shootout, whack style, really, with these defenses and offenses. But I just think LSU has a little more punch there, if not a lot. So it's going to be it's a big ask for Florida. There's a reason it's 13.5 points.
Yeah. Let's flip sides of the ball to the Gator defense. And obviously, look, this is week 2 now, I believe, without Shamar James, who's their leading tackler. How have they gone about replacing him?
Not very well. They KJ Jefferson had a field day, and a lot of that was when the outside blitz couldn't really impact him, and he's take off up the middle. Now, they were also missing Cam Jackson, the Memphis transfer tackle, who's back 1 year, missed one game last week. He's a Louisiana kid, Haynesville. Tyreek Staff's back after missing a game. He's a high motor guy at the end position. And truly might be able to move inside a little bit more because there's a freshman, Kelby Collins, an Alabama kid, who's a freshman who's really starting to emerge. I really like him, number 11. That kid's got a future. He's a future star potentially. 270-something and really moves well for his size. So they're going to be a little fully better stocked this week than they were. But Shamar James is hard to replace. Linebacker's a real issue with this team, has been for years. Jared Davis and Alex Anzalone were really the last time they had 2 really good ones, and those guys were very good. But they got a few in the chamber in recruiting, and that's going to really help. But for now, they're taking lumps there.
Couple more for you. Edgar Thompson is our guest from the Orlando Sentinel, covers the Florida Gators. He's on at Twitter at OS Gators. Special teams. I mean, look, we honestly could have probably started here, Edgar. Florida, you mentioned it in a previous answer. It's kind of gone all the way back to the Utah game to open the season in week 0. Why has Florida struggled so much on special teams?
Well, you mentioned offense, and we talked about inconsistency. Great example. Arkansas goes up 14-0 quickly. Nice drive, fluke play, Strip and Pearsall for a strip fumble touchdown. And Florida comes back, boom, boom, goes 5 series, 1 field goal, 4 punts, 6 series, and 5 punts, 1 field goal, I think it was actually. And that's the offensive inconsistency everyone's upset about. Well, college plays, Billy Napier. You know what happens when you're the play caller and the head coach and the quarterback's coach? Oh, and you run NIL. Oh, yeah, and you're the lead recruiter because he's an excellent recruiter. They got the number 3 class. Special teams is getting neglected. You're not there's a lack of oversight in certain areas. And the big issue is Billy doesn't have a special teams coach designated. He has an analyst who can't be involved at a level that a coach can. Things are falling through the cracks when Billy's trying to do too much potentially. I just think there's going to have to be some fundamental changes with Billy inside and kind of just how he accepts that he's going to have to do things a little differently than he did him at Louisiana. And there's going to have to be a couple of staff shifts or changes, if not a firing, and a couple of moves made, whether it's OC and a special teams guy, however he wants to do it. Maybe assign special teams to someone already on staff. But there's just a lot of things that need to be addressed this offseason. But special teams has been abhorrent. There have been breakdowns, too many guys on the field. Now, look, the return game's starting to show a little something. The kicking game with Trey Smack has been very strong. His missed field goal last week, the first he's missed all year other than one that was blocked. It was nothing to do with him. But there was a bad snap and hold that cost him an extra point in a game that went to overtime. So that's another one. So it's I can go on and on. The problems have been legion on special teams, and it's really just a bad look.
Yeah, I mean, look, and LSU fans can sympathize. They've had their problems with special teams here, definitely last year and at some points this year as well. Last one for you here, Edgar, before we let you go. If Florida is to come into Tiger Stadium and get the win on Saturday and snap the 4-game losing streak, what's the key to making that happen for the Gators?
They're going to have to force. There's got to be a couple of unique situations, right? I mean, if you're, and that's pretty obvious. They're going to have to force a turnover, and maybe get a short field or something, return a punt, do some stuff like that. But I'll tell you one way I would look at it is I would try to sustain some drives. Because like Billy even said, when you're on that field and the LSU offense is on the sideline, that's a good thing. So sustaining drives is going to be key. Just a clean operation or a cleaner operation. So I would say sustaining drives, cleaner operation, force some sort of a turnover, short field, if not multiple situations like that, which the Gators haven't done well. The Gators have very, very few takeaways this year, like 5 maybe. One of the fewest in the nation, some of the fewest in the nation. So there's a lot of rebuilding to do with this program. He says they're in the middle of it. A lot of fans are already at wit's end with it. I think Billy's going to get enough time to try to turn this thing around. The recruiting is good, and he's playing a lot of young players, and that's going to bode well for the future. But in the present, there's a lot of growing pains, and I think they're going to suffer some more of them on Saturday night, to be honest.
Edgar Thompson on Twitter at OS Gators. Y'all give him a follow. Covers Florida for the Orlando Sentinel. Edgar, we appreciate the time, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is going to be really interesting in Tiger Stadium because, you heard him say there, Florida's defense is 12th in the yards per play. LSU's right there at 13th. It could very well be that shootout. Pass rush for LSU against the banged-up offensive line. That's one of the big differences, and I don't want to get too deep into it here because I have some time earmarked to talk about it a little bit later on in the show. But in digging through it, that's what you find is Florida had one of the best offensive lines in the league last year. They don't this year, and even though Graham Mertz is putting up the numbers, it's stunting the rest of that offense. But y'all, the special teams. He mentioned there in 9 games, they've had 5 different times where they've had too many players on the field. Y'all, in the first game in week 0, Florida got a penalty for having 2 guys wearing the same number on the field on special teams. It's just been a complete disaster. They're running the field goal team out there with the offense still on the field. You can think back to under Ed Ogeron when he didn't have the special teams coordinator one year and LSU had the problems and they went out and hired Greg McMahon and it fixed everything. I'm not saying that's something that can definitely happen for Florida, but that is special teams. And I'm preaching to the choir after everything LSU fans and what we all saw last year with this team. That can cost you games when you least expect it. You heard Edgar say there, Florida, their kicker, he's actually performed well. The return game's starting to find itself. The problem is, they run the field goal unit out there with the offense still on the field, or they have 2 guys wearing the same number. If they can get out of their own way, their specialists themselves are good. In a game that could be a shootout, to come down to special teams, it actually favors LSU, which I think many would have not expected to be able to say, given last year and parts of this year. But in this one, it does, and it's because they just flatly can't get out of their own way. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Around the SEC is next. Still Darin Tietgen to come for Fantasy Blitz. Start getting your questions in. You can drop them in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, or you can tweet them to me at Musso. Matthew, personalized fantasy football advice from the guys at whotostart.net still to come. Around the SEC next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Y'all, the weather is getting nicer. Fall is in the air. Winter is just around the corner. If you're thinking of planting trees or shrubs, this is the time of year to just plant something and to get them in the ground. So you want that citrus tree, any type of tree. You want those shrubs, those hedges to line the front of your yard, or those privacy shrubs for your neighbors. This is the time of year to plant, and nobody has a better selection than Clegg's Nursery. So get by any of their 4 locations: Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Pretty soon, y'all, we're going to be talking about Christmas trees and poinsettias, and that's going to be a ton of fun. But right now, it's fall. They got all those fall colors, all of your earth tones, the oranges and the greens and the browns. Beautiful fall plants for Thanksgiving. Get on by and see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
At Corbell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lock in the low rate of 3.99% on a Toyota Highlander. That's right, 3.99%. Lock in your low rate while you still can at Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Running Bart's marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Board's marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at shawbillstire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over. And you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
All right, back here on After Further Review. Let's go around the SEC. It won't be the traditional kind, but let's do it anyway here.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions.
All right, so this is the perfect opportunity for me to be able to wedge this SEC baseball thing in here, just use it for around the SEC. So earlier today, the Southeastern Conference announced permanent opponents for baseball. It'll start in 2025. Of course, Texas and Oklahoma come into the league in July of 24, so they won't be here for the upcoming baseball season. All that will go into effect in 2025. Run through them here, and then I have a few thoughts on the situation as a whole and LSU's in the conference. So we won't spend a lot of time on this, but here goes. So Alabama, their permanents, Auburn and Tennessee. Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Missouri. Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, their permanents, Georgia and South Carolina. Georgia's permanents, Florida and Auburn. Kentucky's, South Carolina and Vanderbilt. LSU's, Mississippi State and A&M. Ole Miss's, Mississippi State and Arkansas. Mississippi State, obviously, Ole Miss and the aforementioned LSU. Missouri will face our OU and Arkansas. OU, Missouri, and Texas. We got to do something about you got to put the horn logo there. That's just bad graphic making by the Southeastern Conference. I almost said Tennessee. South Carolina, they'll face Kentucky and Florida permanently. Tennessee, Vandy, and Alabama. Texas, A&M and Oklahoma. Go figure. A&M, Texas, and then LSU, and then Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So, you can kill the music, Alondra. The thoughts I have on this, number one, is it still puzzles me why we need permanent opponents in baseball. For two reasons. Number one, I know divisions are going away. I get it. But the way the Southeastern Conference did baseball schedule was fine because you played 10 teams every year. You play 30 games. And you'd play 6 teams in your division, and they'd rotate 4 on from the East. You never had a lull, really, where you weren't playing somebody for 10 years like you do in football. So it puzzles me from that standpoint because their rotation was already really good. Why don't you just rotate all throughout the 16-team league now? The other part of it is, it's not the same in baseball. It's just not. Look, I love college baseball. I love SEC baseball. It is a passion of mine. I think all of you listening know that. And if you don't, or you didn't, now you do. And I'm sitting here telling you, rivalries in SEC baseball are nowhere near what they are in SEC. There is no Iron Bowl. There is no Egg Bowl. There is no cocktail party. There is no Deep South Otis rivalry. Georgia and Auburn playing every year in baseball is not the same thing as them fighting to play every year in football. It's just not. When I look, so what's the need? Texas and Oklahoma in baseball is not the Red River rivalry. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, I mean, obviously popularity of the sport is one of those reasons. But number two, Oklahoma's not good in baseball. Texas is. Texas is going to win that majority of the time. When I look at LSU specifically, though, so I will indulge this. So when I look at LSU specifically and I see Mississippi State, that's a given. They are the 2 most storied programs in the Southeastern Conference when it comes to college baseball. Texas, sure, you're not in the league yet. I don't care. In the SEC, LSU and Mississippi State are the 2 most storied. It would make sense that you want them to play every year. Cool, whatever. Stop forcing A&M on us, please. Stop. Why is A&M always forced on LSU right now? The one thing I will say is if we had to go this route, and it seems like we did, even though it puzzles me, I would have liked to have seen LSU face Arkansas every year. And that's a selfish reason for me. It's my favorite weekend of the year every single year. I look forward to it. It's wild. It's crazy. There's the old saying in baseball that you could show up to the ballpark one day and see something you've never seen before, and that is just never more true than LSU and Arkansas. So it's part of why it's my favorite. I will miss not having that. But you'll still see it. It'll just be every 4 years. So you'll have your 2 permanent opponents. The other 8 will rotate on. They're still playing 10 weekends. They're still playing 30 games. 2 permanent. The other 8 rotate on. And it'll be every 4 years now that you see that. Sure, Mississippi State, A&M. You'll see them every year in baseball starting in 2025. it puzzles me. I don't think you needed that. But, I mean, you have it. So that's what you're with, and I'll miss the Arkansas series. That's really all I got on that. It was also just a way that I could shoehorn baseball into this during a football week, because you know what? I didn't last time. I was here filling in for Matt for the Ole Miss weekend, and I could have, because LSU opened fall practice that week. I could have shoehorned it in, but I didn't do it. I did it this time. All right, we're going to grab a break here. Come back on the other side. That was Around the SEC, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. On the other side, personalized fantasy football advice. Our fantasy blitz with Darin Tietgen from whotostart.net. Close out hour number 1. Still have to get to the Saints injury report. Paulie and I are going to do our what to watch. Matt can do his maybe tomorrow when he's back or whatnot. And Mike Triplett still to come, as well as Jimmy Ott to close the show. So plenty more here. We'll wrap up hour number 1 with our fantasy blitz next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. My goodness, there's something going on at Pluckers every night of the week. What more could you possibly want? How about sandwiches? Well, they've got those. What about salads? Pluckers actually has really underrated salads. Giant, gorgeous, fresh salads. You can actually eat healthy at Pluckers. Or you could just binge. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings tossed in your favorite sauce. You want to create your own menu item? Do it. They encourage the creativity. Great sides as well, like the cheese fries, the El Guapo dip, maybe the homemade blue cheese potato chips, holy macaroni, fried pickles. They got it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The best place to watch the game, which game? Any game, is at Pluckers, because you can eat wings, drink beer, and watch sports on TV. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whotostart.net.
King of the Who?
The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the Bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz, powered by whotostart.net.
All right, Thursday Night Football, Week 10, getting underway tonight. Panthers and Bears. Time for the Fantasy Blitz. Our guy, Darin Tietgen from whotostart.net. Darin, appreciate the time. Another week. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Let's get right to it. Let's start with Thursday Night Football, Panthers, Bears. Not the most aesthetically pleasing from a record standpoint, but who are we keeping an eye on here tonight?
Yeah, it's kind of a mess in terms of just overall football, but fantasy football, we find ways to get insert ourselves and get involved. So it's the DJ Moore revenge game, I guess you could call it, although he really doesn't have much to be too mad about, given he went to maybe a better team in Chicago than Carolina. But interested to see what DJ Moore does playing against his old team. And then maybe some Adam Thielen mixed in on the other side. So look for those two receivers to be pretty busy tonight.
Teams on bye. You have one of those. What are we looking at there?
Yeah, some real meat that's going to be off the bone, so to speak, here this week. Lots of quarterbacks off the board. Some real fantasy players going to be on your bench this week unless you want a zero. So if you're looking for some help elsewhere, maybe Jordan Love. He's been pretty bad the past couple of weeks, but we do like the matchup at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense tends to be a little bit looser in terms of giving up pass plays. So Micah Fitzpatrick likely out for the Steelers. So look for Jordan Love to have one of his better games of the season. Tyler Algier for the Falcons. We like the matchup against Arizona. Him obviously splitting time with Bijan Robinson, but he does looks like he gets the goal line work and expecting at least one rushing touchdown for the Falcons this week, and it could go to Algier. So there's a good sleeper running back for you. And then finally, one of your guys, local products there, Rashid Shaheed from the Saints. Look for him to get deep against pretty shaky Vikings secondary.
Hey, that'd be a great. I mean, if you have him on your fantasy team for one, but if you're just a Saints fan, that'd be fantastic and welcome, I think, by everybody here. Darin, let's get to some questions. Start on Twitter. Lance Trailer, he's got two, so we'll start with number one. PPR league, Devontae Adams or Deontay Johnson, who to start?
Yeah, right now, I mean, obviously, Devontae Adams is probably the better overall wide receiver, but he's just not getting the looks. Deontay Johnson's kind of cracking our top 12. It looks like he's back in sync with Kenny Pickett, and especially in PPR formats, I think he'd go Deontay Johnson there.
The second one, PPR, with T. Higgins out, who to start, Tyler Boyd, Demario Douglas, or Dalton Schultz at flex?
Yeah, I think you go with Boyd there. He's going to eat up some of those some of those targets, that Higgins was going to see. We like the matchup for Cincinnati going against Houston there. So, Boyd should probably be your PPR play there.
A couple more. Who to start, Tank Dell or Tyler Lockett?
Yeah, really liking what we're seeing out of the Texans offense. Dell was a sleeper of ours kind of coming into the season. Getting on board with C.J. Stroud, and looks like those two are clicking right now, so I think you go with Dell.
Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net, Fantasy Football Blitz with us here every Thursday on After Further Review. Darin, we appreciate the time, and we'll do it again soon.
Of course. Thanks a lot.
All right, there you go. Y'all get over to whotostart.net. Again, personalized fantasy football advice from our guys. And You can always send your questions in here every Thursday for the Fantasy Football Blitz. That's going to put a button on hour number 1. Grab a break on the other side, Sports Center, and then we are taking a look at the Saints and Vikings injury report here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Stick around.
AFR.
Zero is now pure restoration. Mold Zero, now pure restoration. Same patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. If you got mold, think you might have mold, not sure if you have mold. Mold can be in your walls. You don't even know about it. Pure restoration comes in. You don't have to worry about moving furniture, pulling up carpet, any of that sort of stuff. They come in, they'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. Your home, office building, commercial building, whatever it may be, they're going to be more efficient than traditional remediation. It's going to cost you less as well. I love telling this story. There was an elderly woman who's a homeowner, had just black mold on her ceiling. Actually, Jim Woodworth, first time I ever met him, he told me the story, and he showed me the pictures of this woman's home, and she couldn't get a quote from anywhere that was less than $28,000. This was an elderly widow. Mold Zero came in, got rid of the mold for less than $5,000. Mold Zero is now pure restoration. Same company, same great patented non-toxic dry fog, pure restoration. Pure-restoration.com. Pure-restoration.com.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is Sports
I'm Kevin Richard, week number 10 of the National Football League. Opening tonight, the 1-7 Carolina Panthers visiting the 2-7 Chicago Bears. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus, what is the status of your quarterback Justin Fields as he recovers from a thumb injury?
Right now we're listing him as doubtful, and we'll see where it goes from there.
If he's not medically cleared, well, how come doubtful versus out?
Yeah, just to see. We got to give him one more day. But he's working hard. and it's getting better every day, so we'll see where it goes.
He's not playing.
Yeah, he's not playing.
What? Yeah, what? All right, in case you missed it, Tyson Bagent will get another start for Chicago. That's the layman's terms of that. Bears 3-point home favorites according to the ESPN bet. The total is 38.5. They'll kick Soldier Field 8:15 Eastern time. If you think 38.5 is a low point total, that's nothing compared to Saturday between Iowa and Rutgers. The consensus total is 28. If it stays there, that would be the lowest total of any college football game since the year 2000. According to ESPN stats and information. Also on Saturday, number 7 Texas visits TCU, 7:30 Eastern ABC. The Longhorns will get the return of Quinn Ewers at quarterback after missing the last 2 games with a sprained shoulder.
Home, auto, prized sports memorabilia. Whatever you need to protect, Geico can help get you covered. And with the award-winning Geico mobile app, you can get 24/7 claim support and on-the-go policy access. It's easy to Geico. Go to geico.com today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Welcome back in, hour number 2 after further review. Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona. Scone's back tomorrow for Football Friday. Alondra's here in my place. Paul O'Neill is here in his own place. 1 hour in the books, 2 more to go. Still plenty to get to. In the first hour, we talked to Edgar Thompson, got a closer look at the Florida Gators. We just had our fantasy blitz. Mike Triplett still to come to talk Vikings Saints, and we're about to talk some Vikings Saints here as well. As the injury report is finally posted. And there's some really good news if you're the New Orleans Saints, but plenty still to dive into as well with the Vikings. So let's do so. You know, the New Orleans Saints and the injury report has been a bit of a rivalry, especially last year and at parts this year. I mean, was it just a couple weeks ago? There was 11 guys on the injury report. It is much more positive this week for the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, earlier in the show, we told you the only 2 guys missing from practice observed by the media were Kendre Miller, running back, and defensive end Isaiah Foskey. That matches on the injury report. They did not practice again for the second day in a row. They were your only 2 DNPs, though, were Foskey and Miller. When you look at it individually, Kendre Miller, while in flashes this year, it's been good. That's not someone the Saints can't live without. Okay, let's think about what the Saints' running game has been recently. It's been Alvin Kamara, it's been Taysom Hill, and a smidge of Jamal Williams. Kendre Miller had the big play last week. It was great, all of that. Yep, but it's been Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, and the smidge of Jamal Williams. So you can get away with that fine if you're the Saints. Isaiah Foskey, while, again, probably not the start I think many wanted out of the rookie there. Curtis Granderson's been very good. Cam Jordan's been himself. You are a bit thinner there, so that one maybe from a depth standpoint hits a little harder not having him. And, again, they're still tomorrow, but a DNP on Thursday. You're probably not going to suit up on Sunday. Ty Summers, full participant for the second day in a row with his hamstring. Demario Davis, full participant for the second day in a row with his knee. Adam Prentice, back designated from IR, currently in his 21-day window, full participant the first 2 days. The impact there, and Pete Carmichael was asked about this today, and he kind of chuckled when he was asked about it, but what happens to Colin Saunders in the backfield? I have thoroughly enjoyed Colin Saunders in the backfield. He's quickly becoming probably my favorite player on the team, especially last week when he ran off the field doing the Angels in the outfield or Philadelphia Eagles thing. That was hilarious. I liked that, and they pull him across the entire formation in motion and just let him go kill somebody at 300 pounds. That's great. Adam Prentice, I know he's the fullback. He's been with the Saints for a long time. Give me more Colin Saunders. Nothing against Adam Prentice. I just like seeing a 330-pound, 350-pound dude back there blocking for people. It's entertaining. But we'll see what happens there. Adam Prentice back. So 5 players there. Only 2 DNPs. The rest of them full participants. That is awesome if you're the New Orleans Saints. For what it's worth, Ross Jackson, who was with us on the show earlier this week, noted on last year's Week 10 injury report on the Thursday practice, the Saints were playing the Steelers, the Saints had 10 players listed as DNP. Or excuse me, 10 on the whole list, 10 on the whole injury report, 6 DNP, 4 limited. This year there's just the 2. So again, it's been a rivalry, the Saints and the injury report, but this is much, much more promising. And of course, Ryan Ramczyk and Jimmy Graham, they had their day off yesterday. They were back in full. For the Minnesota Vikings, of greater consequence, obviously Justin Jefferson, he was back, limited again, but he spoke to the media today, and even he said he's going to wait till he's 100%. So you're not going to really have to worry about Justin Jefferson. Jaron Hall, DNP for the second day in a row with his concussion, but Josh Dobbs has been named the starter. No harm, no foul there. KJ Osborne was back today in a limited capacity. That's significant because if he's able to play in clear concussion protocol, obviously just the limited, so he's still got a few hurdles probably left to clear there. But if he is able to go, that gives Josh Dobbs in that offense another weapon outside of Jordan Addison at the wide receiver position while they wait for Justin Jefferson to get to 100%. So for him to be elevated DNP to limited, that is definitely significant. The other really big one is TJ Hawkinson. Because when you're looking at that, weapons for Josh Dobbs, and you see no Jets, but you have Jordan Addison, who's been phenomenal, and KJ, who else is he going to be able to throw the ball to? TJ Hawkinson's easily that answer. He's banged up with the ribs and also an oblique. Limited yesterday, limited again today. It's important to note, though, he, like Justin Jefferson, spoke to the media today in Minnesota, and he said that, yes, the ribs are bothering him. Yes, the oblique is bothering him, but he expects to play on Sunday. Now, what do you get out of him? How close to 100% is he? That's certainly another story. But that KJ Osborne being limited is a development because now he can join in with Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. So those are really the highlights, if you will, of the Vikings injury report. There's much more lengthy. Dean Lowry, defensive lineman, was limited after not practicing yesterday. You have Jalen Naylor with a hamstring, was full practice participant yesterday, now limited at the wide receiver. You have Harrison Smith with a veteran day off. So, I mean, it's lengthy, but Hawkinson, Osborne, and then Jefferson confirming what Coach O'Connell said yesterday about, we're not going to push it. That's a bit aggressive. Those are the highlights there. So that's your updated Saints-Vikings injury report here on a Thursday. One more tomorrow. And, of course, the Saints will head up to Minneapolis and face the Vikings in a very interesting matchup where you have 2 5-4 teams jockeying for playoff position. This is a big spot for the Saints as well because they're going into their bye. I mean, it's odd. They had the bye so early last year and so late last year. It's more in the middle here. This is kind of, I would imagine, where most NFL teams want it. And it's the old cliche, right? It's just one game difference, but you'd feel a lot better going into the bye at 6-4 than you would obviously at 5-5, especially in a division like the NFC South, which by no means is good, but is, because it's by no means good, it is hotly contested. And you have the Saints, the Falcons, and the Buccaneers all battling for position and in that. So going into it with a win and getting it on the road and also getting to 3 straight, where we've talked so much about consistency or a lack of consistency with this New Orleans Saints team, where they get off to the 2-0 start and then they drop 2 and then or 3, and then you drop 2 in a row again, punctuated by that Jaguars. Now you're finally back on the winning side. You're back above 500. Can you start to build consistency? Because this is that part in the schedule where it felt like you had an ability to maybe go on a little bit of a run because of the quarterback situations that you were facing and the teams that you were facing and so on and so forth with that. So getting the win going into the bye, that's huge if you're the New Orleans Saints as well. And I would expect them maybe to improve coming off that. They had that mini bye after the Thursday night game, and that's what kind of started this little run where they've won back-to-back games. So when you have the full bye, we'll see what that goes. But first things first, you got to go take care of business in Minneapolis and take care of the Vikings. And that was a game, of course, last year in London that the Saints let get away. Just quite honestly. That was one that definitely left a sour taste in your mouth. So a little bit of revenge there for New Orleans as well on the line on Sunday at noon in Twin Cities. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. It's a Thursday edition of AFR. Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona. Again, he'll be back tomorrow with you. Still plenty to come this hour, what to watch, Tigers and the pros, and a full hour from 5 to 6 as well. It's AFR here on a Thursday. Come back with us.
AFR.
Love telling you about ProCharge EV. ProChargeEV.com, electric vehicle chargers for your home or your commercial building. ProChargeEV.com. ProCharge is a local company. They're right here in Baton Rouge. And they're a distributor for NLX, which is actually an Italian company, the #1 electric vehicle charger in the world. So you're dealing with a local company that's also partnered with the #1 EV charging company in the world. It's ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Go to the website, scroll down. You see the form you can fill out to get more information. But the bottom line is this, y'all. If you own a business, a commercial building, you got to have EV chargers. I told you a story. There's a medical group in town that called ProCharge, and they installed a bunch of EV chargers at their clinic because a handful of their doctors all drive Teslas. So they need EV chargers. Well, here you go. Amenity for your employees, amenity for your customers, a revenue generator. Tap to pay options are available. It's ProCharge. ProChargeEV.com.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, we're featuring 2023 Toyota Tundras with $2,000 bonus cash. $2,000 bonus cash offer on Toyota Tundras. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
His name was Cain. He had a horse.
After further review with Matt Moscona, Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding. And now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at reliefwindows.com.
Back here after further review on a Thursday, Musso filling in for Moscona. A couple different stories I want to touch on here in this segment. Won't spend a whole lot of time on any of them. It's kind of just three things that I saw today that were interesting that I thought needed at least that I at least wanted to speak on a tad. The first one is of the most consequence. And that has to do with the decision that the NFL has made to allow draft-eligible underclassmen to participate in college all-star games. So think like Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine Bowl, things of that nature, those college all-star games. In fact, the three that the NFL has announced, they sent a memo to all 32 teams. Juniors who declare are now eligible for postseason all-star games, the East-West Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, and the HBCU Legacy Bowl. They can all invite those underclassmen. It's those three because they are the only three with a direct tie to the NFL. Obviously, only seniors could previously play in these all-star games, hence one of them actually being called the Senior Bowl. For what it's worth, I look at this and I think as soon as you read the headline, it's light goes off. Well, that makes sense. Sure. On the surface, seems like a good idea. When you really sit back and think of it, I hate it. I don't like it at all. For reference, the league saw 69 underclassmen declare for the draft this spring. So consider that. Now, again, not all of them are going to go play in these. Some of them are going to be first-round picks. Caleb Williams, for example. Caleb Williams is not going to go play in the East-West Shrine Bowl. He doesn't need to. He's going to be the number one overall pick in the draft. But where you run into problem here is the juniors who are declaring even though they probably shouldn't, that could end up taking a spot from other players. A example I've seen referenced plenty today is Tyson Bagent, who's starting for the Bears right now. Well, he benefited greatly from a showing in the Senior Bowl last year where, as he didn't have that many eyes on him when he was playing Division II college football. You have an underclassman declare for the draft from LSU, from Alabama, from Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Texas, that maybe is a underclassman declaring who's a late day 2 pick. That guy potentially takes a spot from somebody like Tyson Bagent. That's where I struggle with this. The other interesting aspect to it is the bowl games, like, for instance, the Hula Bowl, who doesn't have this opportunity. And I guess you could say, well, that's where more of those guys who get passed over, or seniors who get passed over for a Senior Bowl, for an East-West Shrine, for the HBCU Legacy game, they can go play in that bowl game. But also keep in mind, the exposure isn't as great. It's those 3 bowl games, I'll reiterate, because they have the tie directly to the NFL and NFL scouting. It's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Again, didn't want to spend too much time on it, but something that when I look at it at first, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? That makes sense. But when you dig deeper and look at it, it kind of stinks. Like I don't like it. But look, it'll be interesting, certainly to see how that progresses, and if that many underclassmen need it. Because again, if you're pulling your name, if you're foregoing your eligibility and entering your name into the NFL draft, chances are you've gotten great feedback. You know kind of where you're going and things of that nature. You might not need more. You could flip the coin and look at it on the other side and say, well, if you're an underclassman and you're declaring and you have to go to this game to get the extra exposure, should you even be declaring? There's a lot that goes into it. It's layered, but on the surface, sure. Dig deeper, man, why are you going to take a spot from a guy like Tyson Bagent? Or we've seen plenty of LSU guys benefit greatly from their week in Mobile and parlay that into great careers in the NFL. I sit down and talk with Jim Nagy every week for Eagle Game Day. He gives us a scouting report, and there's plenty of guys he'll reference in comps or whatnot, like, oh, this guy wasn't thought of but came to Mobile, had a great week, and turned himself into a day 2 pick from a day 3. You potentially lose those type of opportunities. Pivoting from that to something else that I wanted to touch on but not spend a whole bunch of time on, the NCAA today made some changes to penalties for athletes who bet on other teams, not their own team. And this is interesting because, look, you've seen it in the NFL, obviously with guys like Calvin Ridley and things of that nature where they were caught betting and their policies wacko because you can't do anything of that nature in the facility. But if you want to go do it outside the facility, you can. Whatever, we're not getting into all of that. But you've seen this obviously take hold with sports betting becoming legal across the country in more and more states. They just went live. Sports betting just went live in Ohio earlier this week. So that, that's another one. The Iowa State situation in college. Brad Bohannon, Alabama's baseball coach, a situation that spawned here in Baton Rouge when they were playing LSU and facing Paul Skeens. So you have seen it. So it's of note. The old penalty for a player who bet on anything didn't even have to be their team. It could be a team on another sport on campus, anything. They get caught, their eligibility was cut. They were done playing college athletics. Now, it's a 1-year suspension, which, again, I think is a little bit more serviceable there. It's still crazy to me in a sense, and maybe I just take a different view on it than others. I mean, I get it. You can be friends with somebody on another team, and maybe you go in it together and you run the risk of I won't say throwing a game, but you know what I mean. And so I can understand it, but man, I look at it as like competitors. You want to win, right? More than anything. But so that's just a quick update there. To parlay that into another just gambling thing here real quick. Have you seen the over under in Rutgers, Iowa? Because this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. We've had a lot of fun at Iowa's expense here. I mean, Matt includes them every week in his what to watch on, or well, at least he did before the interim AD canned Brian Ferentz. Could they reach their certain point total or whatnot? It's a running joke every year with Iowa. Well, now the reason I bring it up is because it's entering historic territory. This has a chance to be the lowest total in college football since 1995. And it still might not be enough. College Game Day did the thing last week where Iowa and Northwestern, they were playing at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs and Reds combined for 29 runs in one game at Wrigley Field earlier this year. And it was like, can Iowa and Northwestern beat Cubs Reds, or will that be the highest scoring game in Wrigley Field? And they couldn't. 17 points. It still went under. You're looking at 28.5 right now, Rutgers, Iowa. And it's an important game, too, for what it's worth, because if Iowa loses, they're likely going to fall out of the lead in the Big Ten West, which is a hodgepodge of just Big Ten football, 3 yards, cloud of dust. But it's interesting just because, again, since 1995, for what it's worth, it could be the lowest total ever in ESPN's odds database. It will be the first total less than 30 in their odds database. Now, again, they haven't tracked it, as long. You go to another sports book and they'll tell you. And here's the kicker of it. Everyone's hammering the under because it's Iowa. 80% of the bets across multiple sportsbook, that's like a consensus, 80% are still on the under. We'll see how that goes. But just thought it was interesting. 28 and a half. That's absurd. And it still might not be enough. I would actually probably lean to the under. They're at Iowa. It's in Kinnick Stadium. It's a brutal place to play. And Iowa might not score more than 10 points, but who's to say you're going to score more than 10 points against their defense? So we'll keep it in there. Almost put it in my what to watch today, but didn't. Just interesting there. So keep that in mind. Maybe I'm sure we'll get a thought on that from Phil Steele tomorrow as well, just because of the historic nature of it, potentially since 1995. All right, we're gonna grab a break. That was our little hodgepodge segment there of just three different things that I wanted to touch on briefly and needed a spot to do it. So 4:15 was that spot. We're going to come back on the other side. Paulie and I are going to give you our what to watch for the college and NFL weekend. Matt could make that up when he gets back here tomorrow. Tigers and the pros still to come. Mike Triplett still to come. And an update on Jaden Daniels. Brian Kelly set to meet with the media here in about 25 or so minutes. Scheduled time. You might be a little late, but that's when we'll get our update on Jaden Daniels, who, of course, as you remember, was cleared for practice yesterday, returned in limited capacity, was expected to be cleared for contact today if everything went well yesterday. And that'll determine his status, obviously, for Saturday. It seems like it's heading in the right direction, but we'll wait for Brian Kelly to give us the final word. Again, like I said, in about 25, 26 or so minutes when he's scheduled to meet with the media. For now, we're going to grab a break and come back on the other side with more. It's a Thursday edition of After Further Review.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all eights. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent, no matter what time of year. If it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air, fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You start the season with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action, so download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code Baton Rouge. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with the code Baton Rouge. The crown is yours. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
And speaking of DraftKings, obviously we have Otter Locks coming up here to end the show. Get Otter's thoughts on Thursday Night Football, Panthers Bears, which is just man, from a good football standpoint, probably not going to be much, but Thursday Night Football kind of always stinks. Otter last night, though, for what it's worth, he gave us 4 plays total. We had Eastern Michigan plus the 20. That did not hit. They got beat up pretty good by Toledo. We had the under in Bowling Green, Kent State. That did not hit, but Bowling Green minus the 11 did hit, and Miami of Ohio minus the 17 hit. So a 2-2 night for Jimmy last night. You kind of break even there, depending on the size of wager, obviously that you place on each game. That Maction, man, it's it'll get you. We got a pretty good college football game tonight as well with Louisville and Virginia. So if Thursday Night Football Bears Panthers doesn't do it for you, Louisville's been a wagon at home too, and they're laying 20.5. But man, that's the way they've played at home. It's more than possible that they could cover that. In Virginia, it's been another tough year there in Charlottesville for the Cavaliers. But Otter Locks coming up to end the show. All right, right now, Paulie and I are going to give you our what to watch for this football weekend over the NFL and college.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
Paulie, do you want to start since I normally start?
I can.
Go for it.
All right, so I'll be watching a battle of the SEC. I'll be watching Tennessee and Missouri. Battle for second place in SEC East as both teams are 7-2. Missouri's coming off their second loss of the season against Georgia. I'm looking to see if they can bounce back. But this could be a trap game for Tennessee as they face Georgia next week. So I'm looking to see if Eli Drinkwitz can get a big win on his resume. This will be the first meeting when these two teams have met that they're both ranked at the same time.
Ever?
Ever.
That's true. I guess when Missouri came into the league under Gary Pinkel and they won the East a couple years in a row, Tennessee was not good. They were not good then. Luther Burden, status of Luther Burden in that game for Mizzou, obviously huge as well, and if they can kind of get off the mat. All right, Penn State hosting Michigan. Big game, James Franklin doesn't do well in these normally. The Ohio State game was a disaster. They went into the horseshoe this year, and it looked like they really did not have much interest in actually winning that game, at least offensively. This is one of Franklin's best rosters that he's had. Drew Aller's been nice at quarterback. Curious at home if they turn him loose a little bit more. But normally James Franklin's kind of been an automatic fade in these spots. The other aspect to this, obviously, is Michigan, where the sign stealing thing has kind of exploded really this week with infighting between Michigan and the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh's being asked about it. Blake Corum, their running back's even being asked about it. Is it a distraction this week given the magnitude of the game that they have? That's something that I'm interested in as well in Big Noon Kickoff with Michigan and Penn State. We just have multiple sound effects. That one, Lord. You two killing me with that, Bob, Matt, and Paul, Moscona and Paul. All right, go, Paulie.
All right, so I'll be going to the NFL. I'll be watching Titans, Bucks, more so because of Will Levis. So Mike Vrabel has named Levis starter for the rest of the season. He started the past 2 games for the Titans when Tannehill was recovering from a high ankle sprain. Titans went 1-1 of those games. Tennessee scored 28 points in Levis's debut, which was the most points the Titans have scored since the final game of the 2021 season. Levis became the 3rd quarterback in NFL history to have 4 touchdown passes in his first start. Can you name the other 2, Moose? One was a while back. One was pretty recent.
Was it C.J. Stroud?
No. Not that recent.
Not that recent?
2015 recent.
That doesn't help me.
Same team recent.
On the Titans? Tannehill?
Mariota.
Yeah. Yeah. God, I forgot about that.
Fran Tarkenton in 1961, Marcus Mariota 2015.
The Mariota experiment there.
Yeah. So Levis has completed 60% of his passes so far, and he's thrown for 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception in his 2 starts. Is he the long-term answer?
Is he? He could be. And it also just makes you scratch your head about what's going on at the University of Kentucky, why these quarterbacks don't have success there. I told you and Matt on Monday, or not Monday, 2 Mondays ago, that
I don't know what that is.
It's a static.
It says
it's a record
transit.
scratch.
Oh, is that what that is?
It's a record scratch.
It doesn't sound like that.
Or that's not my record scratch. That's just because I do have a record scratch.
Well, when you were gone, I didn't know about these, and I had to audibly do it into the mic. Like I had to go like, psh. So.
Oh Lord.
There you go.
We might need to just go back to it, honestly. All right, I told you and Matt, not this past Monday, but Monday before that I thought USC was done winning. I thought they were going to end up going 7-5. After they barely escaped against Cal, they should have lost that game. And what they had left against Washington, Oregon, and then UCLA, they hadn't beaten a ranked team all year to this point. They lost by 10 to Washington last week. They canned Alex Grinch. That's what I'm interested in here. The co-defensive coordinators in the interim. You got Sean Newitt. You have Brian Odom. Does USC's defense even look a modicum better? Can you get the interim bump there? Now, it's a hell of a challenge with Bo Nix and Oregon and going on the road to Autzen Stadium to do it. But is there even the slightest interim bump? Can USC go to Autzen and not give up 600 yards and 50 points? Like, can they at least do that? That's something I'm interested in. If they're able to, potentially that UCLA game gets a little bit more interesting and maybe them squeaking out in 8-4 instead of 7-5 because UCLA was just upset by Arizona and Arizona kind of wiped the floor with them a little bit. And that game is in the Coliseum to end the season. So kind of keeping an eye on that after I buried USC. I wasn't expecting them to fire Alex Grinch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Probably not. Bo Nix, by the way, is he going to win the Heisman Trophy? I feel like he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. Because if they avenge that loss to Oregon and to Washington in the Pac-12 championship, He's a one-loss team who avenged his only loss, has great numbers, and is going to the playoff. He might win the Heisman Trophy.
He's got a good chance. I do think they have to knock off Washington. And
They do.
Penix has to lose.
Could happen. Just saying.
Good point.
That one. Use that one.
So I'm watching Falcons Cardinals. Is Kyler Murray going to return?
It looks like it.
All signs are pointing that way. So in a sense, Kyler Murray kind of controls his own destiny here. So if he leads the Cardinals to a handful of wins, they would move out of that number 1 pick spot in the draft. Chatter possibly about trading him to get Caleb Williams. So Murray, to make his way, Murray led Arizona to 11-6 record in the playoff berth in 2021. Last year, before he got hurt, totally lost my spot. Last year he was on pace to have his worst statistical season of his career before he got hurt. He had Pro Bowl appearances in 2020 and 2021. Arizona was 3-7 before he went down last year. Finished 4-13. So interested to see if Kyler Murray can control his own fate here.
Interesting to see. I mean, because Arizona Cardinals are going to end up with the number one pick most likely, and Caleb Williams is right there for the taking. Also, if Kyler Murray is playing football, it's a bad day for Xbox servers everywhere. All right, last one here. Niners Jags. I'm a big believer in the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a heck of a test for them, though. When you go and you look at their schedule and how they've gotten to that 6-2 record to this point, they've beaten the Colts, beat the Falcons. They did beat the Bills. That was overseas in London, but I mean, let's look at what the Bills kind of are this year. They haven't been great. They're not the Bills of old. And then they've split with the Colts. They swept the Colts. They beat the Saints, obviously, and they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost to the Chiefs and Texans. The Texans, with C.J. Stroud, they've been a bit of a surprise. They're not great record-wise, but definitely a little bit more formidable, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Niners are the best team that the Jaguars have gotten to face since dropping the game to the Chiefs in Week 2. Can they put it together against a really good team and solidify themselves as a contender in the AFC? That's what I want to see, because I like a lot what I've seen from Jacksonville so far. I think Trevor Lawrence has been very, very good, obviously, and the weapons that they've spent to put around him have only helped that. The defense has been more than serviceable. I think it was one of my takeaways that we didn't have college football takeaways. We did NFL instead because we missed what to watch, and I said that I thought that they were a top 3 team in the AFC. This is a chance for them to solidify that. They get the game at home. The opportunity is right there. See if they can go do it. All right. That is what Paulie and I are watching this football weekend across college football and the NFL. We'll see if Matt makes up for missed time tomorrow when he's back and gives you three of his. And if not, we'll probably do NFL takeaways again along with college football takeaways on Monday, because we won't have a complete what to watch. All right, we're going to grab a break, and we're going to come back on the other side. We're going to close out hour number 2 with Tigers into Pros. Some disappointing news for one of our favorites in Tigers in the Pros. Got to tell you that next as well. So that's how we'll wrap up hour number 2, how we do every day. And then one more to go. After that, stay here. It's a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. So excited to welcome Glow Resources to the AFR family. GlowResources.com if you want to learn more. Glow is G-L-O. GlowResources.com. Whether you are trying to place for white-collar jobs or blue-collar jobs, Glow Resources can help. Go to GlowResources.com. G-L-O, GlowResources.com. You know, compared to some other job placement agencies, Glow will explore strategies that fully support the competitive culture. They focus on HR processes. They keep track of operating costs. And their search firm is really dedicated to ensuring that both the employer and the employee are mutually growing together in the workplace. It's Glow Resources. They provide end-to-end services. They can even close clients for you, close potential candidates for you. GlowResources.com. That's GLO, GlowResources.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, back here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Musso filling in for Moscona. Scone back tomorrow for Football Friday. We'll have the regular day. All right, Terry will be here for 2 hours. We'll have Phil Steele previewing the biggest games of the college football weekend, tailgate segment, Kick Rocks, Ryan's Letter, pick segment, all the fun that we normally have on a Football Friday. Right now, though, we will wrap up hour number 2 like we do every single day with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Start with an update on Jamar Chase. So Chase, as you remember, the back injury, correct, right? A Sunday Night Football, went up for the catch, didn't make it, went down hard on his back, was sore most of the week, limited in practice today, although was able to do a little bit more when he spoke with the media, to mention routes on air, things of that nature, and said it was the best that he had felt obviously, so far since the injury on Sunday. Did not give a complete update on his status for Sunday. That's still up in the air. Did say if it was a do or die game, he would be out there. But for now, sticking with game time decision. So feeling good. Routes on air. Game time decision. Jamar Chase, Sunday versus the Houston Texans. To the NBA. Brooklyn Nets victors last night. Cam Thomas, 20 minutes, 14 points, shot 6 of 14 from the floor, grabbed 2 rebounds. The disappointing news here, though, is in the process sprained his ankle. Shams Charania reporting Cam expected to miss 2 weeks with the left ankle sprain. Of course, averaging 27 and 3 so far over 8 games, as a season high of 45. Really disappointing news there, man. That Cam Thomas, he's been awesome. He was only the second youngest player to have 30 points in each of his first 3 games in a season to Shaq earlier this year. So I mean, it's been a really awesome year so far for him. Hopefully a speedy recovery. That's a bummer. The Pelicans, they lost last night, 122-101. They were playing the Timberwolves, which means Naz Reid was on the floor and turned in a pretty nice effort. 22 minutes for Naz, shot 50% from the floor, 9 points and 4 rebounds, plus 17 in the plus minus. It's just been a really solid career so far for Naz Reid, and that continued, unfortunately, at the expense of the home team last night. Tari Eason for the Houston Rockets. Sorry about that. Had to pull up the page. Near double-double last night. Really solid. 14 minutes off the bench. 9 points, 9 boards for Tari Eason. Following up what was a great rookie year for him last year. Off to a nice start here. Shot 4 of 10 from the floor, and also positive in the plus-minus at plus 5. And we'll wrap it up. You know what? I should have moved this up higher in the rundown, because Skylar Mays had himself a game last night. Double-double for Sky off the bench. Played 37 minutes for the Trailblazers. 18 points off of 8 made shots. 11 assists. Just handing out dimes is Skylar Mays. So 18 points, 11 assists. Added 2 steals in the game as well. The Blazers did fall to the Kings, but nonetheless, a great effort from Skylar Mays. He's getting plenty of playing time up there in Portland. All right. That is Tigers and the Pros. It is brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Engagement ring. That's where you go for it. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Christmas right around the corner. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They bring you Musso at the box every day here on AFR, and we appreciate that for them. Y'all go buy Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. The gift in the little red box. It always says something different. All right. Hour number 2, winding down. Getting ahead of myself. Still got some LSU football coming up here. Want to start the next hour with that. And, of course, the conversation will revolve around the defense. Want to kind of circle back to a few of the things we talked about with Edgar Thompson as well in the first hour when he gave us a bit of a preview of Florida, because there are signs in this matchup that LSU's defense could have a pretty good day. We'll get into those a little bit in the next hour as well. Mike Triplett, of course, in his regular spot to preview Saints and Vikings. Plenty to talk about with Mike. There's never a shortage of storylines with the New Orleans Saints. We'll do that in his regular spot next hour as well. And waiting on Brian Kelly to take to the podium here. It should be in the next few minutes. I think it was set for 4:55, so we're looking at 4:54 right here. So BK should be walking up to the podium there. Of course, the big news everyone's waiting on is the final update kind of on Jaden Daniels. How'd practice go for him today? Was he totally cleared for contact? And status, obviously, in the air for Saturday against Florida. So we will have all of that for you in the third hour of the show. Jam-packed to drive you home in the 5 o'clock hour, and looking forward to doing so. I guess I should mention the Matchler and how you should go subscribe. Not subscribe, you should go enter the Matchler. This is a very awkward thing for me to plug since it's about me, and I don't want it to sound super desperate. Like, go sign up, go entry. Yeah, please. It's not that. I mean, there are entries, so we've already dodged that bullet, but come on. It's going to be, look, the company's good. All right, y'all can vouch for that. Paul, Alondra, I'm good people. Ow. All right. Wow. Matt's not here, and I can't even catch a break on this show. Wow. All right, fine. And see, this is where it gets awkward again, because I'm like, take my word for it. Go sign up. No, seriously, go enter. It's going to be a great night. And look, you'll be in the same boat as me. Even if it doesn't end up well, you have a hell of a story to tell. So you really can't go wrong. The Matchler. Thank you to 7-3 Distillery, Haspel. We got obviously the Fillmore. It's going to be a great night. You should go. Though, if you're a lady, you're listening, do it. If you know someone, do it. See, this was terribly awkward to have to do for myself. Hour number 3 is coming up next here on AFR. We'll lead you off with some LSU football as the Tigers get set to host the Florida Gators this weekend in Death Valley Saturday night. It is creeping closer. That's next.
AFR.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find luxury that lets you feel infinitely you. Visit your local Infinity retailer today.
Well, the Titans and Steelers game might not be for the faint of heart. It actually turned out to be a pretty good and entertaining game. Tonight's game, Bears and the Panthers, Soldier Field in Chicago, a matchup of teams with a combined record of 3-14. About a half hour ago, ESPN Bears reporter Courtney Cronin, a guest with Freddie Coleman and Chad Brown on ESPN Radio.
Courtney, I read your Twitter feed, and with all your Bears tweets, sometimes it reads like a sad novel. So I have a lot of empathy for you with your
Thank
Bears.
you. I need that.
Bears
Tough to get through
reporting.
these days.
Bears and the Panthers. Tyson Bagent gets the start, a quarterback for Chicago. ESPN Bet has the Bears as a 3-point favorite with a total of 38.5. And by the way, the second time this year, the Bears have been a favorite in a game. Kick from Soldier Field coming up 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, reaffirming today he is not going to return from the injured list until that hamstring injury is 100% healed. Vikings Saints Sunday.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour number 3 after further review. 5 o'clock hour, getting kicked off, driving you home. Matt Musso in for Matt Moscona today. Scone back tomorrow for Football Friday. Alondra Villarreal and Paul O'Neill on the 1s and 2s. Been a great show so far and a jam-packed final hour here for you on a Thursday edition of AFR. We're going to talk some LSU football here in a moment. Mike Triplett in the next segment. Still waiting on Brian Kelly to take to the podium. Give the final update there on Jaden Daniels as he meets with the media for the final time this week on Florida Week, and Otter to come give us a pick for Thursday Night Football and some pretty good college action tonight as well. So we have a lot to get to here in the final hour. So without further ado, let's do just that. LSU Florida, Death Valley, Saturday night. Here we go. This game has been one of my favorites. Everyone goes through that, like who's LSU's real rival, right? And you ask certain people, Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama, whatever. I will say Florida. I love this game, and a lot of it is because it's just over the course of multiple sports. LSU, Florida, it's always tightly contested. The fan bases don't get along. You've even seen players on the opposing teams that don't get along at times. It's a great series, and it's one that LSU's dominated as of late. They are looking to win 5 straight over Florida for the first time in the history of this series and are sitting at a 2-touchdown favorite to do so on Saturday night. The question that's on everybody's mind outside of Jaden Daniels and his availability obviously is LSU's defense, because that's been the question and the talking point every single week this season after the opener against Florida State. So when you remove the Jaden Daniels part of this, take that, set it aside, we're good. We can have another conversation about the defense. And there's 2 things I want to do here. One, I want to look at the success that I think actually LSU can have defensively against Florida. And 2, I want to kind of throw my hat in the ring here with everybody else. You've heard it multiple times throughout the season about maybe some young guys getting a little bit more run on defense. And this is what I mean. LSU's a 3-loss team at this point. Your goals are gone. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying winning out's not important. It absolutely is. For all the reasons that Brian Kelly has talked about throughout this week. Whether it be the consistency factor. It goes to building up the program to the elite level that you want to be. How many times do we hear Brian Kelly say elite this week? Whether it was on Monday or on the teleconference, and I'm sure when he takes to the podium in a few minutes here, he's going to use that word again. You heard the players say it. He's been using it with them. That's the most important thing, is winning your 3 remaining in the regular season and then a bowl game. Getting to 10 wins, I am in full support of that and hope they do it. But because you are a 3-loss team, you're playing for the consistency in building the program, not the SEC championship, not a spot in the college football playoff. And your defense, while has shown improvement, it hasn't been consistent improvement. Would it hurt to see a few more of the young guys, to work them in? Again, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying bench anybody. But in certain spots, could you see Whit Weeks a little bit more? Could you see Deshaun Womack a little bit more in certain spots to get them valuable reps, valuable experience, so they're in a better spot to take over? It's the conversation we had last week going into Alabama, where you had to give playing time to Javian Toviano, to Ashton Stamps, Jeremiah Hughes, those guys. And when you think about it, they're going to be better for that in the long run, having played in that game, on that stage, in that atmosphere, with that much on the line. That's you can't put a price tag on that level of experience. Can you get some younger guys that is it time because of the situation you're in? Not that winning's not important, not that any of that. That's not what I'm saying. Just they would be better for it. Deshaun Womack's a great asset to potentially rush the passer. Can you put him in on some third downs and say, hey, go get him? He played 1 snap against Alabama. He doesn't have to go in there and play 30 snaps. But is it time to maybe get him a little bit more because you're afforded that opportunity and allows him to build extra experience? The same for a guy like Whit Weeks. Look, Omar Spates, the experience that he has, I get it. You're not going to take that away. There's no substitute for that. But when Whit Weeks has been in there, he's been really good. And he's already gotten a lot of experience. Can he get a little bit more? And you already have Toviano and Stamps and those guys playing. And maybe it leads to a little bit more improvement for your defense in the long run. That's all I'm saying. So I just wanted to kind of throw my hat in the ring with many others who have mentioned that over the past few weeks of this season, that maybe you go that direction. And that's one thing I'm very interested to see over the course of the final 3 games. If LSU does, I think it could pay big dividends. Now, to this game as specifically, LSU, I think, can have success defensively against Florida. Let me also say this. While Florida's offense as a whole maybe isn't where they want it to be, Graham Mertz has played well. And I know Matt likes to, crack on me for this and me saying that, and that's fine. But the guy is having a career year. Okay? He played in the Big Ten West. There's a lot of good defenses. It's not known for its offense. Fine, whatever. But he was benched, and he doesn't necessarily fit in Billy Napier's offense. And his numbers, just numbers-wise, are more than comparable to Anthony Richardson last year, who was a top 5 pick. Anthony Richardson, over the course of the entire season last year, threw for 2,500 yards and 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Graham Mertz this year is already at 2,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. He's protected the ball. We talked to Edgar Thompson earlier. He's not stretching the field on many people, so it's not an aggressiveness. He's managing the game well. Has it led to the offensive success that Florida would like? No, but he is capable. And facing an LSU defense that we've seen really struggle, is this an opportunity for him to really pad stats more, or is it an opportunity for Florida's offense to kind of build off of the play that he has had? He's been much better than I thought he would be in this Florida. Again, it hasn't necessarily translated to that unit having success, but he's been much better than I thought he would be, considering what he came from at Wisconsin and stepping into this Billy Napier offense. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Can he take advantage of an LSU offense? And I'm here to tell you, I think the answer is no. And here's why. It's because when you look at where Florida is in relation to the conference, they're right there with teams that LSU has shut down. And their offensive line is not good. That's the biggest difference. Florida last year had a really strong offensive line. They don't this year. And that's partly why he hasn't been able to attack down the field. The protection's not there. The time isn't there to let things develop. We could talk about Ricky Pearsall and others maybe not being the top of the top elite weapons that you normally are used to seeing at Florida, and that's certainly the case as well. If the roster and the talent's a little bit better and Graham Mertz is putting up these numbers, maybe it does lead to bigger plays and things of that nature. But you look at Florida, they're right there with Arkansas. Now, Arkansas put up points against LSU, but a lot of that came in the second half of that game. LSU bent but didn't break flawlessly in the first half against Arkansas, and then the defense was bad in the second half, except for the stand after the fake field goal. But they're right there with Arkansas. They're right there with Auburn. You dominated Auburn's offense defensively. Dominated them. Mississippi State. You dominated them defensively in that ball game. You didn't play South Carolina or Vanderbilt. Those are the other teams in the bottom half there of the league. When you look at LSU, one of their biggest weaknesses on defense is the secondary. Florida's not going to stretch the field on you. So, yeah, you're going to have the young secondary players out there in Toviano, in Stamps, but Florida hasn't been able to stretch the field, so you feel good there. Your front seven, even without Mekhi Wingo, Harold Perkins can have a big game here. Do you see more of a Deshaun Womack? Savion Jones has really shown the ability to rush the passer at times this year. Can you get to Graham Mertz that way? And then here's the biggest thing. He ain't running anywhere on you. That's been one of the biggest problems for LSU's defense all season long is they cannot stop quarterback scramble. Jordan Travis the last 2 years has gotten them with it. We all know what Jalen Milroe did last week. Jackson Dart. Graham Mertz is not running the ball on you. Can that lead to better third down numbers for LSU? I think it can. Now you look at a guy like Will Rogers at Mississippi State, a team that you dominated, who's in the bottom half offensively. He's not a mobile guy. He wasn't going anywhere on you. Graham Mertz isn't either. So I think when you look at those two things, like where Florida falls in with teams that you've already beat up pretty good defensively, one of them at home, one of them on the road, and then Arkansas for a half, and the fact that you're not facing a mobile quarterback, and you can hopefully get pressure against a bad offensive line, this is a spot where LSU's defense could and should have success despite their shortcomings that they've had all season long. And if they do that and Jaden Daniels plays like many are expecting him to, quick check, see if we got an update from BK. We do. He's probable. We'll give more for that a little bit later on. LSU has a chance to score a lot. And if that's the case, well, it could look like it did against Auburn, like it did against Mississippi State. We'll see. Florida and LSU Saturday night in Death Valley, 6:30 kickoff. Grab a break. Come back on the other side. We're talking Saints-Vikings with Mike Triplett of New Orleans.football. It's Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Hey, I know I keep reminding you, but make sure you get to Rouse's, the website, Rouse's.com. And or on their Facebook page or any of the social media, one of the really great initiatives that Rouse's is putting forward here throughout the remainder of this year is they're trying to stock up all the food banks for the communities they serve. So at Rouse's, they're calling it forgive me, I just lost my spot. But Rouse's is going to all of the different markets that they serve, from Lake Charles all the way to Orange Beach, Alabama. And they're helping
fill up all the local food banks. They're calling it Tackle Hunger, Fill the Food Bank. And if you go to the website, you'll see the dates for all of the specific locations. It's also there on Facebook as well. So do your part. Let's help feed the hungry in our communities this Thanksgiving with the help of Rouse's.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Mike!
Yeah?
Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash, family owned and operated since 1951.
Saints and Vikings, noon in Minneapolis this Sunday. Mike Triplett, New Orleans Football on Twitter, at Mike Triplett, with us every Thursday here on AFR. Joins now. Mike, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mike, let's start on the offensive side of the ball where, for a while it was, are the Saints ever going to hit 20 points? And now they've gone over 20 points in the last 3 games. Have the Saints turned the corner offensively?
Well, they've turned a corner, but, obviously there's still some flaws there. I really liked what I saw from them in the first half against Chicago, especially when the defense was not acting like itself and they had to respond with, they were down 7-0. They tied it 7-7. They were down 14-0. They tied, or 14-7. They tied it 14-14. That was really good. But obviously they got really stale in the second half and made that game a lot closer than they needed to. Not a lot of points off 5 turnovers. So they're still getting there. But, I mean, they keep showing us glimpses of their potential. They keep adding a few things they're doing a little better. Derek Carr with a lot of in-cutting routes last week. Getting Juwan Johnson back involved. We still need to see more Michael Thomas. We still need to see a little more of the run game. But I think they're at least trending in the right direction.
One thing that's pretty noticeably different, the offensive line certainly seems to be playing better. But the caveat with that is that was the 6th different combination they ran out there on Sunday. So I guess my question is how? Like, when you're running out different guys that much, how is the improvement kind of coming along as it is, given what it was earlier in the year?
Well, they've got the combination they want right now. I mean, obviously they wish Trevor Penning was playing better, and that they didn't have to sit him back and have him learning. But they had everyone at their disposal, so they got to choose the lineup they wanted. And one of those choices was keep Andrews Pete at left tackle and move James Hurst back to left guard, which is kind of interesting, but it seems to suit Pete well, the way he's played the last couple of weeks. But I would also say that I think they've made great strides in pass protection after that was one of the biggest problems on the team to start the year. I still am a little concerned by their run blocking. Outside of Taysom Hill, they've really struggled to generate a consistent run game. That's got to be near the top of the priority list for what they have to fix in the second half of this season.
So that was actually going to be where I went next, was the running game and Taysom Hill. I mean, as dominant as he's been, it kind of has lacked a little bit. You mentioned the offensive line there. Is it all O-line? Or, I mean, like when we've seen Kamara be so effective, he's always had kind of that secondary option to him, whether it was marking him or whatnot. Can Taysom Hill be that, or is it just really the offensive line that needs to step it up?
Well, Jamal Williams could be that too.
That's
if you're talking about that 1-2 punch at running back. And I think part of the reason why we saw Kamara's snaps go down from what we're used to in the last game is they did get Taysom Hill involved, and they're trying to get Jamal Williams involved, and not to mention Kendry Miller, who's probably not going to play because he's dealing with an ankle injury. So they got a lot of guys there. I got to put it mostly on the offensive line. Obviously, I don't know all the inner workings of what's not working and if guys are missing holes that are there for them. But Alvin Kamara has looked so good this year when he gets into that second level of the defense and in the passing game. It's really just getting these guys out of the gates. I mean, it's 1st and 10 and then it's 2nd and 10 or it's 2nd and 9. It's those like just handing the running back the ball on 1st and 10 has been killing this team this year.
I want to flip sides of the ball with you, Mike, over to the defense. And, I mean, slow starts. Dennis Allen seems quite perturbed by them, judging by all the comments, and understandably so. Is there one thing that you can kind of pinpoint as to why they've started so slow?
No, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense because this defense is so good, and then when they do wake up, they play so good. They're finishing these games so strong. The worst part was Dennis Allen did have some perturbed comments about the slow starts at the beginning of last week, and then they went out and they had their ugliest start yet. I think it was their ugliest start that I've seen from them in this current era that started in about 2017 since they've been this really good defense. So I was really flummoxed by it, especially against a team like the Bears that shouldn't have been that threatening. Now, one area we can definitely pinpoint is this issue where they keep letting, it's not Jalen Hurts and it's not Lamar Jackson, but they're making every quarterback in the league look like that by letting them escape the pocket and gain 20-plus yards. And letting Tyson Bagent have, 70, 80 yards last week was really frustrating. Now they're going to really be put to the test against Joshua Dobbs in Minnesota. He's actually second among all quarterbacks in rushing yards this year, behind only Lamar Jackson.
That is, it's like you're inside my head, Mike. That is exactly where I was going. Was going to ask you concern level with Josh Dobbs, because we talked about it earlier in the show where, I mean, I think you feel pretty good about the Saints secondary going up against him as a passer. He's turned the ball over an awful lot. The Saints have been great at doing that. But the legs, I mean, I know Dennis Allen talked about the proper way to rush the passer. The Saints play a lot of man. Like, how much of a concern level is that for you going into this game, Dobbs' legs against the Saints defense?
Well, first of all, it feels like a correctable issue, and I say that, and they haven't corrected it yet, but that feels like a correctable issue. Cam Jordan has admitted his frustration that one way you have to correct it is be less aggressive as a pass rusher. You need to, try to beat the man in front of you, but also, as Nick explained it well, you crush the pocket, but you keep those lanes at least in your peripheral vision. But it does make you not just completely tee off and be like, I don't care what's happening behind me. I'm going to try to beat the man in front of me. And I think they're going to be even more diligent in doing that against Dobbs. It's one thing to kind of let a Trevor Lawrence surprise you by escaping because you didn't think he was a running threat, or even Baker Mayfield or Jordan Love to a certain extent, or Tyson Bagent. But with Joshua Dobbs, that's something he wants to do. So I think they're going to be extra diligent in making sure that happens. What I worry about is how much pass rush do they sacrifice in the process.
Yeah, the Trevor Lawrence thing was even more maddening because he was on a bum knee that night as well, and just kept running all over you in the first half. So here's the other thing too I wanted to talk about. Obviously, look, they go into their bye after this week with Minnesota. What is, aside from getting the win, right? That's most important, of utmost importance. What's one thing you want to see from this team? Take it on both sides of the ball. First, offensively, heading into the bye.
Yeah, I think we hit on a couple of them. A fast start on defense, being able to run the ball with consistency are two things that I think have been missing from this team that you'd like to see, along with the offensive gains that they've made recently. But I will be honest, like this one at Minnesota, pretty decent opponent, an opponent that if you don't win the NFC South, you're going to be fighting for a wild card spot with. I'll go ahead and take one of those ugly 24-17, wins like they just got against Chicago. You just got to get out of Minnesota to win, get into your bye week, be in a good position, and then still have two games against Atlanta and one against Tampa to go after that bye week. You got to do whatever you can to set yourself up to really be the front runners in the division.
Saints and Vikings this Sunday in Minneapolis. Looking to avenge a loss from the game in London last year as well, or the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Mike Triplett from NewOrleans.football. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Y'all give him a follow. He's with us here every Thursday on AFR previewing this week's game. Mike, we appreciate the time, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. There's Mike Triplett, brought to you by Vinny's Car Wash, of course, there. It's interesting, man, that I know we touched on it earlier, did a whole segment to lead the show with it, with Dobbs' legs, but that is, the way I went through it was you like what you have in the secondary against him, where the Saints lead the NFL right now in passes defense with 62. And we went through his numbers, and it's like yards per attempt in his last 5 games, it's 5.6, 4.3, 5.4, just right in that range. And when you look at the Saints secondary and going up against him without Justin Jefferson, it looks like they might have KJ Osborne back now, though you feel good about that. He turns the ball over a lot. The Saints are tops in the NFL in forcing turnovers with 18, and he's turned it over 11 times this year. Those two areas you feel very good if you're the New Orleans Saints, but his legs, man. I mean, and Mike brings up a good point. They're going to be, expecting it a little bit more, but Cam Jordan is saying the right things. Be less aggressive in your pass rush, stay in the pass less range. You have to leverage the ball. All of that. He's saying the right things, but a point that Mike brought up, Dennis Allen was talking about the slow starts on defense, saying the right things, and they come out and start slow. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it. You can be expecting it. Can you go out there and execute? If not, that is the great equalizer. I like the Saints in this ball game because I like the two other advantages they have over Joshua Dobbs. I think they can get enough. I think they can limit him enough with his legs that he doesn't pop off for like 120 yards rushing against you. But it could definitely make for a bit of a sweat in the ball game for sure, just because it's not something that you've excelled at so far this year, and against quarterbacks who aren't dual threat like a Joshua Dobbs is. So it's definitely it's the most interesting matchup for me. And then we touched on the offensive line there. The Saints are going to have to go up against Danielle Hunter this week, the NFL leader in sacks. The offensive line's taking strides. They're going up against the NFL leader in sacks. Can they keep Derek Carr clean? That's going to be huge as well. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Actually, wait, before we do that, Matt has to tell you about South Point Volkswagen. Almost screwed that up.
As we get on down the road, remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com for South Point Volkswagen. Remember, y'all, Sign Then Drive is going on right now. It is the best sale of the year. It is this easy. Go to South Point Volkswagen, sign your name, drive away in a brand new vehicle with little else. It's Sign Then Drive. It's going on right now at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Nobody has more inventory than South Point Volkswagen, both new and certified pre-owned. So maybe you're not looking for a new vehicle. Maybe you want to buy certified pre-owned. Remember, South Point Volkswagen has all makes and models. Because they move more inventory than any other dealership, they have more trade-ins, so they have more certified pre-owns as well, all makes and models. Shop them online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Sign Then Drive is back at South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. What's your direction?
Now we're about to hit a break. See, that's why we always play those when we're just coming back in from break. It's real easy to just check the box and do it, and I don't forget like I almost just did there going to break. So, couple segments left. Come back, switch gears, back to LSU football. Brian Kelly has updated the status of Jaden Daniels. It is good news for the Tigers. We'll give you that update, a little bit of reaction. Anything else that Brian Kelly said that sticks out, we'll touch on that as well and give you a brief preview of Thursday night football between the Bears and the Panthers as we continue to drive you home. Otter Lock still to come as well. It's a Thursday edition of AFR. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. I love sharing Google reviews with you. And it's easy because they've got more than double the amount of Google reviews than the next closest competitor. There's thousands of them. Like, just spin the wheel and pick one. This one from David Wynn. Brandon, his technician. Brandon did a great job explaining the issues with my AC unit. He provided options as well as explaining the functions of the different parts of the unit. I would recommend 5-star review from David Wynn. One of the things he said there, which resonates with me, is where David writes that Brandon provided options as well as explaining the issues. You'll always get that. Your technician will, if they recommend some type of service, they will give you a good, better, and best option based on what you want to get done, how much you want to spend, all that sort of stuff. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lock in the low rate of 3.99% on a Toyota Highlander. That's right, 3.99%. Lock in your low rate while you still can. At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings Baseball.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Remind you about Michelle Weighing and Measurement, Michelle.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelle sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelle, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelle.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint, while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelle.com. Again, online at Michelle.com, Michelle.com.
All right, back here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Let's get you updated on things that Brian Kelly said in his media availability. And first and foremost, obviously, is Jayden Daniels. And the news is very, very good. Brian Kelly, just a quick recap. Jayden Daniels, obviously in the concussion protocol after the hit from Dallas Turner in the game in the fourth quarter of the game against Alabama, was not practicing Tuesday, was back limited yesterday, and the word on the teleconference was if everything went well yesterday, that was kind of the last hurdle he had to clear, and he'd be cleared for contact today. Brian Kelly said that Jayden Daniels practiced today, and he has passed the protocol and is probable for Saturday. That obviously is massive news. Like, you can't really overstate that. More from Brian Kelly on Jayden Daniels, mentioning that the preparation, most of it, he's been able to do. Like, it hasn't hampered him in that regard. Brian Kelly did also note that Garrett Nussmeier is, it wouldn't compromise LSU if Garrett Nussmeier had to go. He's that good. But what I will say is, I agree, as I'm sure most of you listening do, but, and it's a giant but, the unknown is the scary with Garrett Nussmeier. Just because the sample size is smaller. You've seen him start one game in his career at LSU, and it was that Arkansas game in 2021 when they benched Mac Johnson and Garrett went out there, and there were good moments, but ultimately it was a freshman, and I understand that, but that's the one start you've seen. Other than that, you saw him come in against Georgia, right, last year in the SEC championship game and slung it around and made some really nice plays, and you saw LSU's offense really perform. And then in the bowl game, splitting time with Jayden Daniels and things of that nature, and you've seen him in mop-up duty this year. And, of course, when he had to go in for the injured Daniels last week. The unknown is just not something that I really wanted to venture into. Not that and again, don't misunderstand me, not that Garrett Nussmeier couldn't have gone out there against Florida and had a great game and led an offense. There's been plenty of weapons behind him, and he's matured certainly in the system and things of that nature. But Jayden Daniels is still a Heisman candidate. Jayden Daniels has been arguably the best player in college football this year. If you can get that guy, you want him. There is no fear of the unknown. You know what you're going to get with him. And if he's going through practice in full and he's probable, he's going to be himself. Like, you don't expect any rust, and that's ultimately what you want. So it's a big, big sigh of relief if you're LSU and LSU fans that Jayden Daniels is set to go and is probable. And for what it's worth, even the LSU football account, they did a whole tweet about it, posted a picture of him and said that he's probable. That's a really good sign as well, that they're going to do that to that level. Expect Jayden Daniels to go out there. And again, that's huge because you avoid the unknown in not having him. The other part of that is the hit from Dallas Turner. The SEC office responded to LSU's inquiry and said that it didn't meet targeting, which shouldn't surprise anybody. That's what their response was going to be because their own replay officials looked at it in the game and said it didn't meet targeting. That's why, and it's not worth getting all bent out of shape over anymore. I'll just say that's why sending in calls to the league office is pointless because very rarely do they come out and say anything other than what was called in the game. Very rarely. It is a fruitless exercise. I get it. You do it to make a point that you were upset about this and whatnot. Nothing ever, I shouldn't say nothing. Something rarely comes of it. It didn't in this situation. It wasn't going to in this situation. Again, because their own officials reviewed it in the game and said, no, it's good. Take that for what it's worth. You could still be angry about it, but it's in the past. You move on. That's just kind of the last layer to the Jayden Daniels story. The other major note from Brian Kelly today, it deals with injury, is Logan Diggs. Logan Diggs was in a no-contact jersey today. Brian Kelly said he's dealing with a upper body injury and is questionable for the game against Florida. That I would say is significant because Logan Diggs has really transformed your running game. Josh Williams was fine last week against Alabama, and they used him a good bit. But after that, I mean, when Logan Diggs stepped forward, that's when the LSU running game really took off. So if you're without him, that does limit your offense a little bit. I would imagine you would see a lot of Josh Williams. You would see more of John Emery. And then, look, there's Caleb Jackson, who I know I would like to see more of, definitely, and I'm sure many of you listening would as well. I mean, the little bit that we've gotten to see of him has been very entertaining. That's for damn sure, whether it's him putting the kid in the ground against Mississippi State or even later in the year, the stuff that we've seen there. So you like that, and you have the depth at that position, but just because Logan Diggs has been so good and has really taken your run game to the next level, that is something to for sure keep it on, because it definitely would limit your offense. But again, like I said, Jayden, I would expect him to just be completely himself. If there's anybody who's going to be fearless out there and not matter that he's coming off, the head injury, it's going to be Jayden Daniels. So he can make up for it. And again, with the platoon there of Josh Williams, John Emery, and maybe Caleb Jackson, you should have enough there. But Daniels probable, Diggs questionable for the game against Florida. All right, before we get to Otter here, quick update or preview, I should say, on Thursday Night Football. Not a lot to say because, I mean, it's a 1-7 team, a 1-win team versus a 2-win team. And Thursday Night Football is never really pretty to begin with. But there are a few interesting things, I guess, in this one. Can Bryce Young start to kind of take the next step? It's been rough for him in his rookie year. And, when we were talking with Darin Tietgen earlier, he mentioned the DJ Moore kind of revenge factor there or whatnot. And for what it's worth, Frank Reich, do you have this over there, Alondra? the Thursday. Okay, Frank Reich talked about DJ Moore and what he's going to bring to the Bears offense tonight. And look, he's going to want the revenge going up against his former team.
Big-time playmaker, can do it all, had vertical threat, but also truly one of those guys that can do it all. He is, everyone knows he's the vertical threat, but he's a skilled route runner. He can make the plays deep. He can make the underneath stuff, the crossing route. There's nothing he can't do.
And then, look, you're playing in Chicago. One thing you always have to keep an eye on there, obviously, is the weather. And Frank Reich was asked about that as well.
You just don't blink at it. You know it's going to be windy there. So you adapt. I mean, you maybe, does it change the way you call the game? I mean, I looked at the weather. It's supposed to be pretty decent. There'll be winds will be in the teens, so it'll be a little bit of a factor, but not a huge factor. So to me, once it gets over 20 miles an hour, then you got to start thinking about some things. But I think it should be a pretty nice evening.
Yeah, it's going to be 40 degrees and feel like it's in the 30s. That stinks. That's cold. I would hate that. And wind in the teens, that's a lot of wind. But okay. Yeah, maybe that, he said once it gets to 20 miles an hour, maybe that's the thing. Like they always ask players like, man, it was 8 degrees and snowing with a -5 wind chill. And it's, hey, man, cold is cold at that point. But maybe it's wind is wind at that point. But yeah, that seems actually kind of miserable to me. 40 degrees, feel like 30 and winds in the teens. But we'll see how that goes. One more, Tyson Bagent did talk about something that he's looking to build on, and it's the turnovers. How does he prevent turnovers in this game after 5 of them against the Saints?
When you throw 3 picks, you're leaving the field pretty disgusted with yourself. But then, you look at the film and you realize, man, for 45 minutes, 48 minutes, I was playing pretty good. We were operating very well. So just clean up those last 12 and a half minutes, and I think there's a different outcome to the game. And, I probably feel a little bit different, leaving the stadium that day.
Panthers and Bears tonight on Thursday Night Football. Watch, don't watch, doesn't matter. You got a great college game tonight, too. The Louisville Cardinal, they're facing the Virginia Cavaliers in Louisville, where they've been very, very, very good. So, Otter did just text me. He cannot do Otter Locks in the next segment, but he did send me his picks. So we will pass those along to you for what it's worth. There is one on Thursday Night Football, Panthers and Bears, and there is one on the college game that we just mentioned. So we'll get to that next as we close out a Thursday edition of AFR. Musso been filling in for Moscona here all day long. He'll be back tomorrow, but we got one more segment left, and we'll wrap it up with Jimmy's picks. A messenger version of Otter Locks to close out AFR next.
AFR.
If you are even thinking about selling your home, I'm going to give you a phone number. I'm going to give you the only phone number that you will need. I'm going to give you Darin James's phone number. It's Darin's cell. Like, you can call this number, you can text this number, and you are literally calling or texting the phone number that Darin James has in his pocket or on his hip. I'm talking about the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. A guy on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America based on the number of homes sold. You ready? 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Of course, you can go to the website, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need to maximize your return on the home, you want a hassle-free, pleasant experience, you need Darin James. 335-7666 or agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darin James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darin James.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means It's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Musso filling in for Moscona. Scone back tomorrow. We're going to wrap it up with Otter Locks. Different version, though. A messenger version of Otter Locks. As Jimmy told us yesterday, he has EJ's game tonight, so not able to be with us, but did send his picks. It was a 2-2 night for Otter. Last night we hit with Miami of Ohio minus the 17 and Bowling Green minus the 11. We missed with Eastern Michigan plus 3 touchdowns and the under in the Bowling Green Kent State game last night. So 2-2, breaking even tonight. Again, I'm telling y'all, Thursday night football. Panthers and Bears. Otter is on Carolina plus the 3.5. Check it real quick at DraftKings. See what we're looking at in that one. We're also looking at 3.5 minus $1.12. So Otter likes the Panthers plus the 3.5. And in the college game, Virginia, they're going on the road to Louisville. The Cardinal 8-1. Man, they're a couple wins away from securing a spot in the ACC Championship in Jeff Brom's first year. It's been really good for Louisville. But Otter's going the other way. He is taking the 3 touchdowns with Virginia in that one. That's an interesting one because Louisville has been insane at home against the spread. They've been covering left and right. That's something that Phil Steele has talked about an awful lot here on this show on Friday. So do with that what you will. But Otter is taking the 3 touchdowns with Virginia, taking the 3.5 with Carolina. Both dogs. Quick check of the DraftKings for you real quick for the college game as well, just to see what our partners are with. Also at plus 20, so minus $1.08. So Otter in lockstep there with the odds for DraftKings. So that's your Otter locks. Carolina plus 3.5. And the Virginia Cavaliers plus 20. That's going to wrap us up just about here on a almost said Friday, on a Thursday edition of AFR. 2 days in a row, we have time for what we learned. Let's go ahead and do that. Alondra, what did you learn today?
I can't even get it out. I learned that Musso. I can't. Paul, take it away.
That was horrible.
Musso loves huge butts.
Yeah. Real mature,
Huge
Alondra.
butt.
Apparently, I paused in the last segment talking about the quarterbacks and said that something was a huge butt and paused. So, real mature, Alondra. Paul,
You said it.
What did you learn
So
today?
for the Matchler, there you go. You
There
need
you
a
go.
huge butt.
Yeah. What did you learn, Paul?
Kind of piggybacking off of that.
Oh,
I learned
Lord.
that you get awkward when you promote your own promo.
Yeah, and you know what I learned? I learned that you two just sold me out and hung me out to dry and didn't help me promote my own promo there. It's kind of weird to just be like, hey, y'all go enter to go on a date with me. That's weird. Is it not?
I'm gonna have to agree with that. Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, and when I asked y'all
Just
to
a
back me up that I'm a good person and people should do it, y'all just crickets. So thanks a lot, guys. That's what I learned, is that I can't count on either of you. All right.
Glad to help.
Yeah.
I mean, sign up for the Matchler, you know?
There you go. That's going to wrap us up. Matt's back tomorrow. It's AFR.
AFR.
Let me remind you about Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. You want your son or daughter to reach their absolute best in whatever sport it is they play. Traction can help. You know, I've told you about Traction over the years, going into Traction and seeing professional athletes from so many different sports who maybe played collegiately in Louisiana and they come back to train, or even athletes who didn't play collegiately here, but by virtue of their travels throughout the country in different places have met people or have found out about Traction. They'll come train here in the off season. They'll even come rehab injuries. Told you there was a really cool picture Traction over the summer where there was an NFL player for the Packers and a young football player from here in the Baton Rouge area. They took a picture side by side at Traction Physical Therapy because they were both rehabbing the same injury, both there at the same facility. It's Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com to learn more right there on Burbank. Traction, where champions are made.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now.